On today's episode, I am so excited to welcome Blair Jones. She is such a powerhouse.
At the age of 30, I retired my parents and I'm a present mom. It's going to be over in a sec. And I'm radically present to that. I kept running the same programming without an evolution. And so then from there, I've kind of given myself permission to branch out, which is extremely scary.
And we got deep into relationships, some juicy tips that I will personally be taking some inspiration from.
I miss being horny as fuck.
Yeah.
I miss wanting to ravish my husband or for my husband to ravish me. I'm going to tell you my secret. Are you ready for my secret?
You guys are going to love this conversation.
Embodied CEOs don't chase trends. They pave the way. They lead from within, moved by purpose, unshaken by noise. When you are the source, you do not need permission.
All right, let's do it. Right into it. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, babe.
I'm so excited.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, we a little bit know each other. And I feel like after these, I always know people way better. Even my friends. I'm like, I didn't know all that about you.
That's the best part about a podcast.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's start. Let's start with your story, where it would make sense to dive in.
Yeah, a little bit of background. So originally from Minnesota, I grew up on a farm. My parents are super blue collar. My dad worked in the union for 40 years. My mom's been in a Western, I really want to say that. She's a Western medicine practicing nurse. So she's a registered nurse. So all the things that I do, home birthing, homeoprophylactics, don't believe in any mainstream health things. Super foreign to her, which is so funny. So yeah, and now here I live with my husband, both entrepreneurs, love network marketing. I was listening to a podcast on the way here and I was just talking and the question to the person was, what's your very first thought as a little kid? And I was like, what was my very first thought as a little kid? And I distinctly remember, because my parents would always argue about money. And my first thought was, I was like, I'm never going to worry about money. So I really believe that I came into this life where that money was not going to be at least in this one, where it was like, money, I'm not going to learn that one this time. So very fortunate to grow very abundant, prosperous business where at the age of 30, I retired my parents and I'm a present mom and, now being a mother and in a new identity shift, like money and time wasn't an option or wasn't an issue. What would I do? And I'm really in that inquiry. So that's where I am present day.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about the business. I know you're in network marketing and I know you're very creative with it. So I want to dig into that a little bit. Yeah. Tell me about it.
Yeah. So at 22, I had just graduated college. I went to school for English communication and English literature. So I could read and write really well, but I'm a terrible speller, which is very comical. And then I found myself working at a bank because I thought I needed to get a 9-to-5. And then I worked at a bar because I could make a shit ton of money. And I was 40 pounds overweight and I had no clue what I was going to do. And I was like, what am I going to do for the next 40 years of my life? And I was kind of dumbfounded because my parents hated their jobs and they always fought about money. And I was like, okay, what do I do? And I remember thinking about, okay, so I need to start getting myself back together. And so I found a friend that was helping people with their health and nutrition. I knew nothing about nutrition. I was living in Wisconsin at the time. So beer and cheese curds were the foundational part of the food pyramid there. And I lost 40 pounds really quickly. And then all the girls that I worked at the bar with were like, what are you doing? And I just kept sending them to this guy. And finally he's like, do you want to help these girls lose weight? And I'm like, absolutely not. I don't want to be part of a pyramid scheme. And he laughed. And then he's like, great. Do you want to share your story to inspire other women? And I remember walking into this event where all these people had all these amazing health results on these products. And I went and shared my story. And then they started talking about how people were making $5,000, $10,000, $25,000 a month. And I laughed. I was like, oh my gosh, if they can do it, game over. I totally can do this. And so I always joke, I was working at a bar and then all of my regulars came to my nutrition bar. And so then I started helping people with health and nutrition in the same town that I was partying, doing lots of cocaine, drinking avidly 40 pounds overweight and just made a conscious shift. Now I know it's a conscious shift to just tune into my health. Same person or same town, different person. And then it really just catapulted my career. And it was kind of game over from there. I was like, and also I was living in Wisconsin. Wisconsin's like 10 years behind the curve of everything. And so supporting people in these small, teeny rural towns where all they really have is a gas station or Walmart or McDonald's, to introduce them to something where they can feel good, it tastes good, and it's not this huge, complicated biohacking long-term thing that they have to do every single day, but to make these small shifts in these very blue collar towns was monumental for them. And then they're losing this weight and they're feeling better and they stop drinking soda and they learn what protein is outside of peanut butter. And so it was amazing. I mean, my dad lost 60 pounds. My mom's lost 40 pounds. My sister's lost 75 pounds. And It was really because we just weren't educated. A lot of people aren't educated on nutrition. But to me, I was like, we can start somewhere. And I was relatable to those people because I was those people.
Wow. That's so cool. What an impact on your family too.
My family alone. I mean, just from our health and then now financially, it's again, like I have an account for all three of my nieces. For my sister's 8 years older than me. And I always had like this, my sister was really my mother. And so I was like, okay, how can I repay my sister for all that she really did for me growing up? And I was like, man, to put her 3 kids through college so they don't have to worry about that. That's my gift back to them. And then I retired my parents because I was like, man, what they did was not easy. Blessings to them. And so to be able to support them, no brainer.
Wow, that is incredible.
Yeah.
And it's obviously like network marketing, it isn't easy to be that successful. Like you are one in a million, it feels like, of that success. So obviously, because you were them, I'm sure that that really helped with the connection, which is key. Yeah. But what do you feel like contributed to the massive success? And I think you probably get asked this question, but like network marketing gets kind of a bad rap, right?
Yes.
But you've been wildly successful. So
yeah, that's kind of the funny thing. When people meet me and then they get to know me and then they're like, and then finally I heard this saying once, it's like in California, it's like, what do you do? In New York, it's who do you know? And in Austin, Texas, it's who are you? And so here in Austin, or a lot of places I've gone, and these people get to know me, then all of a sudden they really like me. We become friends. And then they're finally like, I know nothing about, what do you do? And then I tell them and they're like, wait, you do network marketing? And I was always like, yes, I do. Because I kind of changed. My goal is like, I want to flip the script on the stigma. And flip the script. Like, we're normal people. I found something that I wildly believed in that changed the course of my life. And then I was able to support my friends and family and community in little tiny Wisconsin. And then all of a sudden it's like, okay, great. I need to create some type of income. Well, why not do it in something that I believe in? And so I'm just so grateful that I found it. And so to me, I feel like there's so much more. It's to teach people about their health, to teach people about nutrition, to support people in a safe place to come to, and to create a community is really what I did. And then we happen to be doing X products that they're probably doing anyway, but now they have a person with it that can support them. And of course I'm biased because these products changed my life. So of course I'm going to talk about these ones compared to any other ones.
Yeah. And I think that's the key, is like the product was kind of a byproduct of it was a piece to the transformation, but you did the work and you had that connection of the story. And I'm sure you did other things beyond the product, and you're able to bring all of that into the whole picture, which is definitely key, versus like the product's going to create all the money for me, right? Like it's a whole big picture that you created the success with.
And again, I found it when I was 23. And then I started the business a year and a half later. So I was 24. And I was young. I had no kids and I was wildly driven. And so, and who's to say that I couldn't come, I'm in this identity shift in this moment now, because I'm now 36 and I have 2 kids. And so if I'm like, what would have happened if I would have found this business now? I ask myself that all the time. I think the answer would have been the same, because I would have been like, who am I? What is it that I want to create? What is it that I want to do? And in pregnancy and postpartum, I mean, the first thing I thought about is how to feel my best. I need to get back to myself. And what's that mean? Like eating good, drinking good water, moving my body, all things I did back when I was 23, trying to lose 40 pounds.
Yeah.
And so I would have, whether I found it at 24, I would have found it at 36. Again, I think the answer would have been the same. It just happened to be at 24 then, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so have you, this whole time you've been involved in network marketing, you haven't branched off into like your own programs or your own offers, or have you?
Sort of. I mean, I think that people have really found on social media, a lot of the things that I share is for a lot of enjoyment. Like it's kind of my online diary. And so a lot of things I talk about is parenting and my marriage. And for whatever reason, people have found are so wildly interested in my husband and I's marriage. My husband's a very public figure. And so people are so curious, and we don't sugarcoat it. Like we really talk about the hard shit and how we move through shit and how we navigate all of this business and parenting and relationship and health and all the fast-paced parts of life. And we really get into the nuances of it. And I don't know why people really have been really interested in that private part of our lives. And so we created an online course about that, again, out of pure enjoyment. And then astrology has been a huge part of my life for the last 11 years. I found astrology really early on when I was in network marketing, and it played a pivotal role. I didn't even know it, of how much it supported and forecasted a lot of the decisions I made inside of my business. And then postpartum, I was like, great, I would love to learn, how do I do that? How do I do that for myself? These people can do this to me, but how do I create these answers? And so then I got super into astrology. And I think it was kind of because I had never branched out from network marketing for 13 years. I mean, that's all I eat, lived, and breathed. And I think it had to be that way for me personally, because if it wasn't where I wanted it, if it wasn't going to get me where I wanted to go, I didn't do it. And that's my personality type, because I didn't want to be distracted. And so I didn't kind of dabble in many things. I dabbled in one. And I went all in for an end game, because to me at that time, I didn't have kids and I didn't have a husband. And I was like, was very clear with myself. I was like, I want to be able to retire, quote unquote, at the age of 30. And everybody laughed. And I was like, that's my ticket, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And so once I kind of hit my finish line, I kept going. And then I felt really unfulfilled. I was like, man, why am I now unhappy? I've achieved everything. I've created everything. I've built the business. I have the marriage. I have the kids. And I think from there, it's because I had accomplished everything that I set out to do. And then now, like I've alluded to a few times, the identity shift is, well, who am I now? Because I'm not the same 24-year-old girl living on the floor of her business, trying to make it, building a dream. I built it. And so, but I kept running the same programming without an evolution. And so then from there, I've kind of given myself permission to branch out, which was extremely scary, because people saw me as one way. And then I got nervous that I'm like, okay, great. Well, I don't want people to compare themselves to me, because I'm at a different phase now. And so that's kind of been an interesting part to navigate, where it's like, to inspire a young entrepreneur, please don't compare yourself to what we've accomplished now. Let me share with you the wisdom that I have from there till now. But to give myself a little bit of freedom to explore, because I personally have given myself, I've earned the right to do that. Now, I of course have earned the right to do that at any time, but particularly for me in my journey, when I set out to do, I don't think that I earned the right to do that, because I don't know if I would have created what I've created.
Yeah, I always say you have to earn the right not to hustle. Like people shit on hustling all the time, like especially right now, right? You know, like,
oh yeah, that's soft girl
you gotta
era.
have, the balance and not work too hard. And like, there's a lot of criticism on it, but it's like almost every successful business owner I know had a season
for sure
of hustling, and you got to earn the right to not have to do that. But it's interesting what you said of like that identity crisis, because it sounds like for a long time you had a purpose of like where you were going and going to retire at 30 and what you were building. And then once you had that, it's like, okay, but what's my purpose now?
For sure.
And I think we don't realize how much that chase is our identity. And then when you don't have the reason to chase anymore, and you think you have everything you wanted, and you're like, now I will be perfectly happy because I made it.
Right.
And you're less happy because the chase was the fulfillment.
It was actually extremely painful because this has been going on for the last, I would say, about 2 years. It was extremely painful. And primarily because my very, very best friend, when I kind of like, I want to say hit like my 10,000 feet. And I kind of was like, okay, great. 10,000 feet, you can unbuckle your seatbelt. Like you can move about the cabin. And it's like, wait, I have free, like, I didn't really know what that meant. And then my very, very best friend, she is where she's in the hustle. She's in the grind. She has like definitive purpose every moment she wakes up. She is so clear on her audience. She's so clear on her purpose. She's so clear on her business. And that was so fucking confronting to me, like to the depths of my soul. I would cry because I'd be like, well, who am I? I'm standing right next to this person who's so clear on who she is. And I felt less than, I felt unworthy. I didn't feel like deserving. I didn't feel like I was growing. And it really put a wedge in our friendship purely for her being. And it was putting up a lot of mirrors for me of like, you're feeling so challenged because you don't know who you are. You're you don't have that. You did it. Right. And so to be in this season, it's been a lot of unwinding and unraveling and in our friendship now. And so I finally shared with her like, hey, I'm sorry that it's hard for me sometimes of your success, which is the worst fucking thing you can say to a powerful, successful woman is like, you're so bright and shiny. It actually makes me feel less. You know, what a terrible thing to say to your best friend. And I shared that with her. And I said, I'm sorry that I haven't been able to champion you because of my own shit. And then we cried and she said, you know, I don't love you for any of your accolades. I don't love you for what you've created or accomplished. I love you because of who you were when I met you and I didn't know anything about you. She's like, none of this stuff really matters. What matters is who we are to each other, not what we do out in the world. And that it took me a long time to really wrap my mind around it. So every morning I text her and I said, okay, wait, so you love me just because you love me. And if I deleted social media, and sometimes I use a microwave and because I really just want to hang out with my kids today, you'll still love me? And she's like, I'll love you even more. So every morning I wake up and I'm always like, okay, so if I get a rotary phone tomorrow and I don't wear shoes and sometimes I like to eat, you know, GMO ice cream, you'll still love me? She goes, of course. And so it's like reinstilling this programming that I'm worthy of love, not for what I've accomplished, but for who I am. Yeah.
It's really shifting your identity, right? Because like your identity is wrapped around the like what I'm achieving and the identity of the healthy. I don't use the microwave and I don't eat the GMO. And then, okay, but what if I do sometimes? Then who am I?
Yeah. It's like a brand. It's like a toddler really orienting herself on the planet. You know, I have a 3-year-old. She asks me why every 7 seconds. And so but she's really putting together her version of the world, her perception of the world. And I really feel like that's where I'm at. And I still run my business, which is which is again, weird. Like, okay, I have this thing kind of on autopilot and I know where I am here. But then if you have this moving ship and you step off of it and it's still moving, it's like, who am I? And that's kind of the position or place that I'm in. It's been wild. It's been a wild trip.
And then kids, right?
Yeah.
Because kids, you still have to slow down, right? And then I have a different story, but with kids, yes, like they just bring you right to the present, where when you're used to chasing, you're almost never in the present. You're chasing that future constantly. So is right now your season where you really want to be home with the kids, or do you still like have that drive of like, I really want to have the moments of hustle and chasing something? Are you unsure, or like, where do you feel that?
I think I've given myself radical permission versus trying to identify. So there are days where I feel radically inspired to do something inside my business. And then there's days that I feel radical joy being so present with my kids. And so I've tried to surrender it, because I'll get peaks of inspiration, and it really, I mean, it's like kind of orgasmic when I go in and I do like 2-3 hours of hard like work and create something and send something out and build something. And then I like, okay, good. Like the sigh of relief. And then, so I've really just kind of surrendered what it is or what it's labeled, and just kind of given myself permission to ebb and flow in the feeling. Especially right now, like, I mean, we were at a wedding and I was watching my toddler watch these 7 and 8-year-old kids, and she was just sitting and watching and watching. And these 7 and 8-year-old kids, there was 3 of them, and their parents were nowhere. They were inside the wedding. Their kids were out there all playing. And she just kept watching. I'm like, do you want to go play with him? And she's like, no, I want to play with you, Mom. And then I just thought how quickly in 4 years she's going to be those kids. And might not grab my hand and say, I want to play with you, Mom. And so I was like, man, to just kind of really be good with how grateful am I that I chose the path that I did to have spaciousness where I can be present, because it's going to be over in a sec. And I'm radically present to that. So I try to find gratitude in the opportunities that I can still go into my business, and then find radical gratitude that I don't have to. And so I think that's where I'm at right now. Oh, I didn't think I was going to cry. Man. Yeah, I know. It's like, wow. It's
also a heavy, we're coming off a heavy weekend of.
Yes. I think that's where I'm crying is.
Same.
From the weekend.
Yeah. I have, my oldest is 10, and I feel like we're at the, this like moment where he's starting to like, it hasn't happened, but it's like, they start to pull away.
Yeah.
And it's like so sad, my baby, and he'd rather sometimes be with friends or just be in his room by himself. And then I've got my youngest 5-year-old who's still attached to me 24/7. And I'm like very much more able to appreciate that with the last one than I think I did with him. But yeah, it's, that time goes so fast. I think my number one fear in life is to get to an age and look back and wish I spent my time differently.
Yeah.
That's my number one fear, is like to have a regret of like, I worked too much, or I did this and I didn't appreciate it. But then also within that, it's just it's not black and white, because then you put the guilt on yourself of like the constant reminder of how fast time goes. And
right.
I don't know, it's messy.
It's so messy, because then it's like, again, watching my best friend and her, just, I'm so proud of her now that I'm out of my own shit, and watching what she's building and what she's creating. And she's being like, I mean, she's really doing it. And because I wasn't in the grind with 2 kids. And so, and she is, and how she's able to create this, like I'm in such awe of her. And also, like, a lot of the things she talks about is like, I want to show my kids what it's like to go for it, and what it's like to build this thing. And they're literally in real time watching her create and build and what it's providing for their family. And then I'm like, okay, and then I'm observing hers, and then I go back and I reflect on mine. And I go, okay, well, great. Well, I'm not in the grind right now, and I'm not building. So does that mean I'm not instilling things into my kids? And so I have to be really careful of comparison of where other women are in their journey and where I am. And I come back to, I don't know if it's woo-woo, but it's the thing that makes the most sense for me. I said, okay, well, whatever soul contract or whatever reason why I came in with these babies, they came in at this time, not when I was 24. So I can't compare, to anybody else's hustle or grind right now and what it is or isn't teaching my kids. What I can really rest easy in is that if that was what I was supposed to show and teach my children, then they would have come in at a different time, or my timeline would have been way different than somebody else's. So I really need to be conscious that I'm still teaching my children things that are just important and valuable and what they're here to learn, being in the grind or not being in the grind. And it's beautiful both ways.
That's so good. It's so true. And it's so easy to go to what's the right, what's the wrong, like linear thinking. And you're right. It's like we're all on our own journey, and our kids. So I had my son at 20.
Dang.
And started my business at the same time. And that was clearly my path. Right. And so I was like baby in arm, 20 years old, dropped out of college, built the business. And I think I know that was my path. And that was also his path to come into. But then I look at my youngest, who, by now is 5, my oldest is 10. So 5 years went by and the business became way more successful and I could have a nanny. And it's just like a whole different experience for him than my oldest, who I had no idea what I was doing at 20. Like, I mean,
yeah,
I was
who are we
just in survival mode, and so there was a lot that I did my best, but
yeah,
like,
exactly. So it's like, okay, your 10-year-old has all these experiences and watched his mom and knew what she did when she was, and he's going to have a completely different childhood than your youngest one. And then it's like, well, which one is right? And it's like, well, they're both perfect.
They're both perfect for what they came in here for. Yeah.
Exactly. And so once I started getting untangled or unbound from some of these stigmas or beliefs that I had put on myself, that's when a lot of this pain started to subside, and where I could share them vulnerably with people or talk about them, or, share this with my best friend and kind of loosen its death grip on me and really just kind of surrender to the present moment. That's really where I'm just like, okay, this is where the true alchemy starts to happen. It's like I'm really in an unknown time, which is so frustrating and fucking weird and uncomfortable. And then all I can envision is me 10 years from now. It's like, that was such a pivotal time. What a turning point. These big periods of, or not, doesn't even have to be big, this moment of time that was so uncomfortable that are generally often the most pivotal. So I think it's just like really trusting the higher plan here, really surrendering, a lot of prayer, a lot of just tuning into my own, what's serving me, what's not, and really just being unattached to where this goes. But being intentional that every day I'm willing to show up for it.
Yeah. So when you say you're in an unknown time, it's kind of because you don't know what's next is where you're at.
Yeah. And is it the third baby? Is it another business? Is it being home with 2 kids? Is it really just is it just the season of mothering and supporting my husband going out? Do I get back into my previous business and go ham? It's just all kind of on the table. Is there something else that's not even, that I didn't even mention, that's better than all, or for the greater good of all of those things? So it's just that.
Yeah. And not knowing which, and just waiting until you have that clarity. So how does that look on like a day-to-day right now when you have all those swirling thoughts?
Yeah, I think that I had to be careful because part of me wanted to burn everything down. It's like, okay, great. I don't want to be a part of anything. I just want to start over. And I was like, okay, well, be careful. You just spent 13 years of your life building one of them. So, and can we just be really grateful that you spent 13 years building it so you can have this time to be here in the unknown? And so, very, number one, it's for me has always been number one. I'm always taking care of myself. So waking up a lot of the times now before the kids, like this morning, got up and walked the dog for 30 minutes and got to sauna. And then I get up with the kids and then, they have breakfast and drop my daughter off at summer school, and then give myself 2-3 hours to work on what I want to work on, whether it's my current business and network marketing, whether it's, I was prepping astrology charts before I came here, and just giving myself spaciousness, like how much I had outsourced, which I'm so grateful for. I delegated so much when I was in the building phase of my business, and then deciding which things that I kind of want to take back. Like I want to take back cooking a lot of my food, grocery shopping, going to the farmer's market, sourcing all these things myself. I, want to take back, I delegated a lot of, sending out Christmas cards and birthday cards to my assistant. And I was like, regardless if it's 2 or 200, like I kind of want to write those Christmas cards this year. I want to write those. I kind of became, I don't want to say untouched. I was getting so much done and I was efficient and I was extremely good at it. And now I kind of want to take the time to be present with it. And like, why did I send out those cards in the first place? Because it felt good to me. And so to mail them all out and take the time to do that. So I think it's reorienting the priorities that I have in this season. I don't think I'll ever, quote unquote, not work. I extremely enjoy it. But what that work is and what it looks like, again, it changes from day to day and shifts from day to day. And I try to just because I think the tendency I had in my past life of this life was I would find something and I'd go all in and I'd go 1,000 miles an hour and I would fucking execute it and it would be the best and it would be amazing. And I just have to be kind of cautious because I might have a really brilliant idea and I'm so excited and there's a lot of motivation on it. And I've really been practicing patience. So it's like, okay, great. Can I come back to this in 2-3 days? And if I'm just as excited, then okay, great, we can do it. But in 2-3 days, I'm like, oh my God, thank God I didn't do that. Or I didn't act on that emotion because I was like, I do not actually want to do that. That does not sound fun. And so really just giving spaciousness to I'm also really into human design. I'm a projector. So I have to be really careful of making emotional radical decisions because I'll jump in my ego jumps in and goes 1,000 miles an hour. And then it takes a while for my higher self to kind of come in and be like, it's not actually what you want to be doing. Or it's like, yes, great job. You found that needle in the haystack. Let's go for that one.
I love that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, you must be a projector.
Yes.
I'm a generator. So okay. I just jump in and keep going.
Yes. Yes. And then I'm like, whoa, let me support here.
Yeah. Do you have right now in this season when you've got, okay, I'm excited about this. The pause is so huge. Mm-hmm. I feel like learning that, I feel like that's wisdom of a longtime entrepreneur, mm-hmm. right? Even as a generator, learning that because I have I'll just force pressure on myself for zero reason. I just love sometimes being in a pressure cooker.
I think that's the adrenaline of the early entrepreneur.
Yeah.
I still feel it. And then I watch other people and I'm like, oh my God, they'll tell me what they're doing. And then I get all jazzed and then I get juiced up and I'm like, here's what I can do. And here's what I could create. And this would be so fun. And then I'm already to the finish line. And I was like, wait, pause. And again, it's gratitude that I don't have to or need to be in that pressure cooker. And then also there is parts of me that really grieve that I don't have that.
I know. So recently I found this AI tool and I built a basically software product in 6 days. And it was the first time in years that I had put myself back into it felt like the beginning days of mm-hmm. Working at night on the week. I'm like, what am I doing? After a few days, I'm like, I actually don't want to do this, but it was fun for 6 days. It was just that energy from the beginning of and I feel I don't know if you, I feel you also have that energy in the beginning of I'm going to make anything happen. And
right. No matter what.
There's no limit. And you're just chasing that and so excited about that. And then for me, at least after 10 years of entrepreneurship, it will catch me of okay, but there's this, and what if this happens and this happens? And because I have so much experience of the challenges of entrepreneurship, whereas in the beginning I was just delusional. Oh, once I hit that number, we're good forever. We'll never go backwards. I was very delusional in the beginning, which is great because you mm-hmm. just chase that. So there's many, that grief of missing that. I so understand that. And I had this like mini week where I was like back in that, and it felt really good for a few days. And then I was like, all right, and now we're going to reset. I built the product, sold the product, like sold it on a webinar. It was like this huge grind. Was awesome. Huge like dopamine and high from that. But yeah, you miss it. Like,
and so that's been the interesting part of the season of both grief and also gratitude. I mean, it's like every day I wake up in gratitude that I get to wake up, and then I'm not in that position. And then grief because I was like, well, am I ever going to find that thing again? Am I ever going to have that again? I miss that. And that's where I just get to be really patient of like, yes, it's going to come. And can you just kind of be in this transition, like an identity shift? I mean, it's like I'm allowing this whole reset to happen internally. Like, can I just be patient? All while this thing that you've built previously is sitting here. Can you just remember to foster and tend to it and love it? Not the way in which you had before, but where you are now with such wisdom and with such love, and not with that forceful, fucking intense energy that this thing has to work. That I would sold my soul to make sure that I was going to do this thing. And so, yeah, it's interesting. It's beautiful. It's messy. It's sad. It's happy. It's a total trip. It's a trip. And I know I'll find my thing again. And I think that's where astrology has played such a pivotal role in this season, because it was where I've been so cautious to not commoditize it in a way in which I would normally or previously have built a business on. So it was, I studied astrology because it sounded fun. I was really in love with it. And then I kind of just started sharing with people that I was doing it. And my husband's like, oh my gosh, like, how many clients do you want to have? I was like, if one person paid me money, for an astrology reading, that's it. I would retire. And then one person, and then 10 people, and then 20 people. And then all of a sudden I had 100 people. And then I was like, pause. We've been here before. We've done this. And so I forced myself to shut down my appointment schedule, because I was like, you're doing that thing again, Blair. You're doing that thing where I was like, okay, great. So if I did this many, this how much, and then this, and then we could do classes, and then I could leverage time, and then I'm not trading time for money, and then I commit. And I was like, stop. That's not what you're here for. You're here to be in genuine service to the other of something that you're passionate about. And so I'm really cautious and tender, specifically with astrology readings, because I don't want to make it something that it wasn't intended to be. And I don't know what it's intended to be, but all I know is I love it. And all I know is that I have extreme joy doing it. And that if I never did an astrology reading again for anybody, I want to be the best at it. And I'm doing it to be the best at it for myself, to have the skill set, not to profit from it. And if I profit from it down the road, maybe, but I just need to hold it tender for now, because it's a slippery slope to go left, because 6 days, you build a software thing, right? I let one person, then there's 100 people, and then I was like, slippery slope.
Yeah, then you get that excitement, and then you do lose while you're doing it, right? It becomes about the game of how far can I take this? How hard can I push it?
Like, how big can I make it? Yeah. Yes. And then I do math in my head. And I was like, no. It's not what we're getting.
And that's not a bad thing. I mean, that's a strength that we both have, right? Like, but you have to make sure you're applying that strength to what you really want to apply it to, because then you can lose the purpose of it. And for you, the purpose of the astrology is more the fun and the service versus building it into $1 million business, which you absolutely could do. And that's incredible.
Right. And so that's where and then I was like, okay, Blair, fast forward 5 years from now. Like, do you want to change your whole identity to be the astrology girl? And I was like, I don't fucking know. Not really. It's like, okay, great. Then stop doing that. Because it's like, because that's where I just came from. It's like, you're the, blank, fill in the blank. And so I don't want to niche down right now. I was like, I love talking about macros because it brings me joy.
Yeah, I saw your story the other day. You're like, and I love two things.
And they don't go together, and that's okay. I'm doing everything you're not supposed to do. It's like you have you talk about parenting and astrology and your marriage and macros. Like, what are you? And I was like, I don't know. I'm in the defining of the niche, And so I'm going against every fucking thing they all talk about. And I was like, and I get to be okay with that because that's the season that I earned.
I was just going to say, that's the important piece is like, you have a personal brand, right? And you have that following that you've created that you'll have people, you can talk about many different things because you've earned that in your business journey. So it's like in the beginning, yes, you need to be very focused on what the problem is that you're solving and who you're going after. But after 13 years, you earn the right, I think, to have that expansion. You see this a lot with influencers and big names, right? They do expand, and usually it's based off of what they become interested in or a shift that they might have. So I think it's okay. I mean, and you don't even have to niche down to one of those. I feel like long term, like you could have something for macros and something, whatever. Like there really are no rules.
Right. Who made the rules?
Right.
Me.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah. And then that was the thing, my best friend had shared with me. She's like, Blair, you're here and you're confronted with, because she had found her thing, the thing that I'm grieving, she found hers. And she's like, can you do me a favor? Because I'm doing this. I found my thing because I want to be where you are. And so can you show me how good it can be when I get there? Oh, and I sobbed my face off and I was like, yes. And that's my role. How good can it be when she arrives here? Because she's like, this is for a season. So let me ride it while the season that I'm in and show me what it's like when the season shifts. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so that changed the whole perspective for me. I'm still learning even what that means. And so isn't that like a full cyclical moment where it's like she has what I want, but she wants to be where I am? It's like this. I'm like, well, can everyone pause and
just humans, man? We're like,
yeah, can we just take a moment and so it's been a really beautiful, like I said, and difficult journey.
Yeah. Let's talk about motherhood a little bit. Tell me about that kind of transition. Where were you in your business when you had your first? Were you still working a lot or had you started to slow down?
Yeah. I was working a shit ton actually. And then I had mentioned to my husband that I wanted to have babies. And he's like, we can't have babies right now. He's like, there's no way. There's no way you would survive, which was annoying because I was like, don't tell me what I can't do.
You're like, watch me,
right? I can work this hard and have kids at the same time. And then I really marinated on that for like a week. And I finally shifted and I was like, he's kind of right. And it was kind of the first initiation where I started to put things in place where I kind of allowed things to be on, I don't want to say autopilot, but I kind of started setting up my business where it would function and flow, not dependent on me. Now it still needs me and it's very evident when I'm present and when I'm not, but I would say that it kind of started relieving the load or pressure that I had on myself when I was fully integrated in it. So this was back in 2020. And so I started kind of making these micro shifts that really started to support the macro of it. And then we got pregnant and then had my first baby in 2021. And then that really started to shift and really, really started to invite me into, it's like, okay, great. Not because I can't do it. I don't know if I want to do that anymore. And so again, it was just inviting me into these deeper layers. Motherhood has been both the most intimidating thing that I've ever done, but the thing that I got out of it that I was most unexpected thing that I got out of it was, I would say 2 babies later, I am the most in love with my husband that I've ever been in my entire life. We are way more in love post 2 babies than when we were engaged, which is fascinating because I feel like you hear the opposite. And it has really required us or really invited us to another level of communication to another level, intentional conversation, intentional time, intentional growth with each other. So the thing that I think motherhood for the most is how much it has expanded my relationship with my husband, which in turn overflows to making us, allowing me to love my children even more, because the love of our relationship is so tended to intentionally. Marriage for my husband and I marriage doesn't come easy for us. It's probably the thing I work on individually the most out of anything in my life. And a lot of that comes from because I know all the learning and therapy I've done from my own personal childhood, maybe among other people, that I think that the love of the parents is going to be felt the most, regardless of how much money we make or what they do. But if we can create that loving environment, regardless of what our house looks like, any of that shit, that's the gift I want to give them more than anything. When they look back and they're 30 years old and someone asks them about their parents, it's like, man, they really loved each other and they really loved us.
That's so beautiful. And you guys do just radiate that. I think that's why people are so interested in seeing the behind the scenes. I mean, even just a little bit that I've seen you guys in person and then online, your content, like you both radiate that energy of love and joy.
And it's serious work. Like, I mean, but intentionally, because we have, like, my husband and I have this saying, it's like when we're both 100 years old, that will be the most in love with each other, because we don't even know who those people are yet. I don't know who my husband is at 100. Who am I going to be at 100? And that those evolved versions of us constantly meeting new parts of ourselves. And I think the core foundation or the core value that we have in our relationship is that we're so committed to growth individually and then also in partnership. And so I'm really, really, really grateful that I'm in partnership with someone who is so committed to personal growth as I am. And then in turn, that benefits the whole.
How long have you guys been together?
We got married in October of 2019. Okay. So this will be October of this year. It'll be 6 years.
Okay. And were you both always committed to growth since the beginning, would you say?
Yeah, that's all network marketing is. It's like personal development with a compensation plan. The more you grow, the more, Yeah. So it's like, because he was in network marketing as well. And so we have both, has been a core foundation of ours individually. And I will say in completely polar opposite different ways.
So what does it look like today? Like when you say we put a lot of work into it, like what are a few of the, I don't know, for people listening going, what can I do?
For sure. One of the easiest, most simple things is we have a question game. I mean, go on Amazon or anywhere and just Google like question games for couples. And we just sit down in the morning and we have it right on our table. And we have the one, it's We're Really Not Strangers Couples Edition. That's the one that's sitting on our table right now. And we'll just pull cards while we're sitting there having coffee. Regardless if the kids are running around screaming, we'll pull a card, we'll ask a question. Like this morning, the question was like, what was the physical attribute that you noticed about me right when we met? And for my husband, I noticed his freckles, and we started laughing about that because I'd never seen a Black person with freckles. And he was like, what? And he just was like, really? That's the first thing you noticed out of every, I mean, my husband is a model, previously a model. He's a very beautiful human. He's like, you notice my freckles? I was like, yeah. And then his answer to me was, your traps, because I was super into CrossFit when we met. And I was like, could clean and jerk, 200 pounds. And my traps were touching my ears. And I'm like, oh my God. So then it led us down a rabbit hole of looking up like pictures of Blair in 2010, my traps touching my ears. Like, I mean, it was funny. And so that has really, like, just to break up the mundaneness of taking care of kids, of getting the stuff done around the house, of going to work, of doing dishes, of getting a snack for the 10,000th time for a kid. And then also then it goes deeper into the questions, and then it just really puts to the forefront connection. And there's light questions and there's really, really deep questions. And so it's been really monumental for us to continue to come back to touch point, because it's really easy to be two ships passing in the night, especially with kids.
Yep.
And then the more you add, the more you pass each other. And then you just go to bed. And then, yeah, so that's been a big one. And then we really create, the question we most ask to each other is, is there an unmet need that you desire from me? And so, right now, postpartum, I'm 11 months postpartum. My sex drive and libido isn't quite back online. And he's really like, do you think that it's going to come back online soon? Can we be more intentional about that? And so I'm like, here's what I'm committed to. I'm committed to meeting that desire of yours once a week. Is that okay? And then he's like, yeah, I feel like that's great. And I was like, my request when I meet your unmet desire is that you need to trust me that I'm going to do it. It's going to happen once every 7 days. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know what time, but when I initiate, can you just say yes? So can I take the lead? He's like, yes. And I was like, my unmet need is that I need you to plan dates. And I'm planning so much shit. Can you plan that for me? And he's like, great. And so I think that it's just really important. Like we talk about sex a lot. We talk about sex a lot, which I was kind of annoyed about, because I was like, I didn't want to be that couple that's like, we got to plan sex, or my husband wants more sex. And fucking postpartum is humbling, because I never have not had a libido, and to like consciously work on it back. For me, it's a real thing. And for him, he's like, I just miss the deep intimacy together. And that's making love. So it's been a journey, and humbling, because I was like, and sometimes we do schedule it. I'll be honest.
Yeah. I mean, this is a great conversation to bring up, because I feel like not enough people are that upfront about it. But I mean, after 3 kids, I feel like after 5 years, it's still not back.
Okay.
But maybe I'm not putting as much effort into it as I could. It's hard. I had them back to back, and it's just like, I don't know. After that, it's challenging. And I think it's really hard, at least for my husband. It's hard for him to really fully like understand the level. And it's hard for me too. It's not like I'm just like, oh, I don't want to. It's like, I want to.
I want to. I miss being horny as fuck. Yeah. I miss wanting to ravish my husband, or for my husband to ravish me. I miss that. I miss like being able to do it any time of day, multiple times a day, whenever I want, wherever I want. I miss that. And so I was like, okay, great. Just like postpartum, to build this body again into it's like, okay, this is going to take work in an area that was so natural for me.
Mm.
And so I'm like, okay, what is that? And that just goes back to, okay, maybe this might be weird, but I'm going to tell you my secret. Are you ready for my secret?
Yeah,
maybe
I want to know it.
Okay. So I have an alter ego. Her name's Millie Monroe. And Millie is Marilyn Monroe's little sister that nobody ever met, because her sister was so bright and shiny. Then she was like the fun party girl that just, hopped on the back of like Jamie Lynn Spears, Britney Spears' little sister. Like, you're cool by default.
Uh-huh.
So Millie Monroe is super sassy, and she's really funny, and she's super flirty, and she's kind of edgy, and she can say things that not a lot of people can say and get away with it, because she flips her hair. She's super funny. So I go, okay. So Millie Monroe is like my number one access point to my sex drive and to coming back into my sex life, because it's also an insecurity of mine. Like, I don't really know how to get back there. Right. And like, what used to work with my husband doesn't work. And then I'm like, because we're two different people, right? Because I'm completely different than who I was before kids and now after kids. Anyway, so Millie like removes all of that, because she's a completely different energy. And so I took her shopping, and I went on the clearance rack of Nordstrom's, and I got these. I'm wearing them today. They're right here. I should show everyone. These are Millie Monroe shoes. And I got her these shoes. And so anytime that I'm feeling sluggish or like not feeling myself, I just fucking put these shoes on. And it activates this part of me, and it kind of brings this sassy, flirty 20-year-old vivacious Blair online. And it helps me to just bring in this playful energy that isn't in my regular day-to-day life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So Millie comes on and then I tell my husband that Millie's here. I was like, Blair's not here, Millie's here. And then he'll playful out with me and she's flirty and she kisses him. And it just kind of helps me turn up the turn on, or at least to turn on the algorithm of that sexual energy with my husband and I, to invite newness, playfulness that might be not as easily accessible for maybe my regular everyday today Blair.
I mean, that's the thing. It breaks it up, the everyday. I think that's the biggest challenge with kids and business and all those things. It's like every day can become the same.
Mm-hmm.
So have you guys, I'm sure you have, had seasons where you felt like you were just ships in the night passing each other?
For sure.
And how did you get out of that when you were in those seasons?
We've always had mentors or coaches or people that support us in our relationship. I think we were dating for 3 months and we had hired a spiritual relationship mentor, coach person. And so we've always had, and that has really helped because we don't want to always be working through shit when it's not good. I want to turn up when it's already good. You know, like I just, in sports, I'm like, what's the difference between good and great? Like, I'm already pretty good. I'm already pretty talented, but I want to fucking be great. I want to be unstoppable. So we would double down on goodness and how can we make it better? Because that to me is where you start to expand the edges of marriage for us. And because when it's already going good and we're in this flirty, beautiful space and things are flowing and we're good in a good season, that to me is the easiest time to start adding in maybe these things that are depletion when we're out of that season. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So expanding our sex life or conversation or trying new things, or, you know, that's where Millie Monroe really came alive, because it was when it was already fun, because I was kind of like, okay, I'm sick of like just going on a date and going out to eat. Like, let's mix it up. And then I was like, I really miss that part of Garen, my husband. That was, I call him the greatest showman. Like, he walked into a room and he knew that everyone was looking at him. And then he had this innate pleasure. I think my husband is really good looking. And I often notice that people also notice that my husband's good looking. So when he walks into a room and people look at him and then he's like, eye on the prize. And then he's like, and I was like, I want that. And he's like, I forgot about that guy. And so that guy dresses different. And then I was like, and then I would meet him in that energy. And then came Millie. So yeah, I think that it's to questions really help that. That's why we like to have the question game, because you can get really honest. And the question game also kind of, it relieves a little bit of pressure because the game is asking the questions that you really want to ask. And so it's kind of like one layer removed, that you're just playing the game, but then you can actually say some shit you want to say. So that's been really helpful for us.
It is like, it's like the things that, as you're talking, I'm like, man, I know these things and I'm taking away some things that I should be doing. But it's really like the consistent communication every day, the small interactions, like that question game in the morning and doing that every single day. That's just creating that connection and that consistent communication, changing it up. Like, our soul does not want to be doing the same thing every day.
No,
you know,
because we do the same thing every day in a lot of areas.
Yeah. And having that, like, that's I think, especially like for me before kids, it's what I miss the most, is just like having fun. Like,
having fun.
Just having fun, like having a day together, which is so rare. We can go on a trip now, but yeah, like the different, I love the ego. I'm going to have to alter ego. I have to come up with one.
Yeah.
Does Garen have one too, or just you?
I've named his, and I call it the Garen Jones, or the Greatest Showman. They're one and the same. Garen's older. Yeah. And so the Greatest Showman is the guy that, I mean, if you Google Garen Jones, probably the Garen Jones or the Greatest Showman will show up. That's that part of him, because it's this larger than fucking life anomaly human being. That's this, like, you can't not look at him, whether you like him or not. Like, you can't not look. And there's just something about him. And so I was like, I miss that guy. And Garen's like, I miss that guy. And again, I think it's just like all this shit that I said I would never fall prey to, of like becoming a parent and then having 2 kids and then all of these stupid societal, oh, ball and chain, or, you just wait. I don't like those things. And so I'm always like, we are going to defy that. We're not going to be that. We're going to be the opposite of that. And now I'm aware that other people can fall into that category, but how do we know that that's kind of the easy path, and how do we pave a new one? And so once we're cautious or conscious of that, then that's where it's like, you said it, I know these things, I should be doing these things. And so you can start to make these small incremental shifts to kind of shift out of it.
Yeah. And you're doing it also proactively. Like when things are good, we're still working to make sure we know where we could fall in a path. And so we're proactively doing things. I think that's key too. That takes effort. It takes effort. It takes energy. I'm sitting here going, you know this, and you know how to do it. You can do it for CrossFit. You can do it for business. Like, you should choose to do it more for your marriage.
And that's what the question games is. It's really easy. That one's like a very just simple, practical thing. Like yesterday's question was, what's one thing that you're most proud of in our marriage? And mine was hands down, we used to fight for 3 days. We would go silent treatment with each other.
I can see that. Like you two are both just like so powerful.
Yeah. Like I will stonewall you. My poker face is so good. Like it's so good. And now we can have the same intensity of a fight and we can be over it in an hour or 30 minutes. And we're so proud of that because we're so committed to we're committed to the argument, because to me, I think what is it? Like when there's some saying, let me think of it, but it's like when the rupture happens, there we go, then you can have the repair. And sometimes the rupture needs to happen so you can repair better. And so we're so committed to the rupture of like, what's not serving, get it out. And how we fight is a lot different. And then the repair, I'm so proud of us because we get out the shit, we air the laundry, we get it out, the things not working, the things that are piling up, and then we can repair. And it's faster and it's so much better.
That's good because also that takes energy, because I have found in seasons like it's easier to just be like, I don't have the energy for that conversation. And then it builds sometimes a lot of things that now it's hard to get it out because it takes the energy to have the argument when you're in the moment of it. And it can be easier to just start existing.
Yeah. And our theme for this year is we really wanted to get back to being friends, like pals, buddies. Like I missed my friend of like inside jokes, funny things. And then also we have found, maybe you found this in your marriage, but like being a parent, there are so many things I want to laugh at my kid. And I can't, like some of the things she says or how she said, and we just, she'll walk out of the room and we just bust out laughing of how like, you need to like, don't keep it together. You can't laugh at that. You know what I mean? Like, and so it just has lightened the mood and it just makes it less heavy. And so we're really intentional about being buddies and pals. And a lot of that is like listening to music for when we were teenagers. I'll turn on just like dirty trap music and, or I'll like pull up music videos from back in the day. And so music has helped because it's nostalgic and it's funny and it's lighthearted. Or we'll just watching like movies from back in the day, or like, do you remember this movie? And then he'll bring up nostalgic movies and then we can watch them. And then I'm like, wait. And so I think that just really helped to support us in laughing more. I will say that this is, 2 kids and 7 years together. It's just like, forgot how much I really like my husband. I really like him. Of course I love him. And it's like, but I forgot how to like him and to be his friend.
Yeah. The laughing and the play and the fun is so important. Well, I think you guys should do some more relationship stuff.
Yes. It's my favorite thing to talk about.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, there's a need for that too, of like, especially parents, entrepreneurs, and you don't see it very often, all of those things coming together. And like you're saying, it does take energy and it does take effort.
Yeah. And I would say even like the state of now of remembering that a lot of people are choosing monogamy and how much they love it. And I saw this reel the other day about this girl who was like, people always comment that my husband's a present dad. And then she was like at the bottom and she's like, yeah, because I didn't marry a loser. And I was like, that's really valid. You know what I mean? And then in my head, I was like, but why do a lot of people, and they're in these unhappy marriages? And then I was like, well, I didn't marry someone I didn't like. But how did they get there? Nobody married someone they didn't like. I don't think. Right. Maybe they did. But a lot of people married someone that they deeply love. And then how do we get so far from that? We forget. And then we forget how to get back. And then we forget how to get back. And then we don't know how to. And then, and then it's an interesting dance.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
And such a great opportunity for growth individually and together. Probably the biggest.
All right. I'll keep up with the relationship content.
Yeah. I would love that.
Yes.
I'm inspired from all this for sure.
Deal.
Yeah. Well, anything you feel like we didn't cover in this conversation that's on your heart?
No, that was a lot. I haven't publicly spoken about any of that. I haven't put any content about really the season I'm in, or even just, it's the first time I publicly talked about a lot of things. So thank you for asking.
Honored. I'm honored to have this conversation with you. Thank you. You have so much wisdom, and I love your energy. That's like from when I first met you, wake surfing. And,
yes.
And yeah, just you and Garen both just like fun. We were just at that party, and Garen, to my daughter, I don't think you saw it, but she was like, I'm going to show you a magic trick. And he was like, Ella, the best magician. Like, just incredible, incredible energy. Like, gave her his 100% attention, like sitting right in front of her.
Yes.
She was in heaven.
I love it. I love it. There you go. That's us.
That's the greatest
showman right there. You got to see it.
I got to see it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Cannot look.
So if people do want to explore more of your content, even in this season, it sounds like your Instagram. That's what I follow and love your content on. Maybe astrology readings, but where should people go? We'll link to it. But blair.rachel.jones is my Instagram, and then blairracheljones.com is my website, and that's all our relationship course, to book an astrology reading, or the easiest place is always Instagram. And I can send you my appointment schedule because I love to serve, not because I want to commoditize. And so it's been a real honor in this season. And I would say it's the greatest joy in remembering what it's like to be in service for nothing other than being enjoyment of being in service to serve another. And also to be able to, like, allowing people to let me in to be there with them in their season. And I've been able to do that through astrology, and then macros. Like, people just like, it's the weirdest combination of people just like, I don't even know where to start. I used to be so fit and healthy, and where do I start, and how do I look this up? And in an age where everything's accessible, and there's a bazillion things out there. It's not that we're underinformed or overinformed. So which one works for you? True. Yeah, we didn't even talk about macros. I know, right? Do you track yours regularly? Obsessed. It's so fun. You do. It's a game. Yeah. It's a game. Yeah. But I don't track it every day, but I do to get a baseline. Yeah. Yeah, I love it. It's a fun game. It's definitely, for me, it can be dangerous to, like, I can get a little obsessive with the tracking. Yeah, be careful. Yeah. Yeah. And then some days it's just like, I'm guessing where I am in my head. Yeah. Right. It's an ebb and a flow. Well, I will follow that content. Thank you so much. This was so fun. Thanks, Em.